Well, just like that, we're back for another episode of the Ascendry podcast. And today I have somebody with me who I'm extremely excited to have as a mentor on Ascendry.app, not only because I know he's got a lot of experience, but also because of the fact that his music, if you go listen to him, it just tickles your brain in this really cool way that I can't explain it. So you're just going to have to go look up the music, okay? Today I have Josh Johnson, aka Thred. How you doing, dude?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me. And thanks for the intro too. That's definitely a way to describe it because anytime people ask me about my music, I'm always like, or they say, "What kind of music do you make?" I'm like, "Dude, I don't even know." So like, like it's best to just just listen, man. It's weird and I don't know. I just write whatever. Yeah.
But it's cool because it's so okay. So I keep thinking back to that show that we played in Fargo, North Dakota together, where, I was playing my heavy stuff and then you played, your music, and just that contrast was so like aesthetically pleasing to me. Like, I know that for one reason or another, I can't tell if it was the genre mix up or maybe the fact that there was a large show going down. Who was it? Was it Wooly in Minneapolis?
Yeah, it was something like that. I want to say it was like maybe Wooly. It was at like the Armory. Yeah.
The Armory, yep. I know it was at the
Yeah.
Armory, and you've played there, right?
Correct. Yeah. I played there
Dude,
with
that
Ganja
was
White Knight and some other people for their Wobbleween. It was last year. I did last year's Wobbleween.
so
That was
sick.
that place was cool. It's definitely one of the cooler venues that I've played. Um,
Well, not
well, it
only
was
is
a
it
hometown one
massive,
too.
the architecture of it, the actual structure of the venue looks really cool. It, like, looks super
That's
satisfying. I need
yeah.
to go there someday. Like,
No, definitely. Well, yeah, you definitely got to come to to it. It's like it's wild. Well, the ceilings are super high. It's kind of like I mean, it's just like a big. I mean, it's a big armory, like where they had weapons and stuff from the military. So then they just turned it into a venue. It's like
that's
for
right. It
people.
was a legit armory, right?
Yeah, that's what yeah, so then they just I mean, that's why they kept the name, I guess. I mean, it's for people who are in Chicago, it's very similar to Radius, just a little longer and a lot taller, but besides that, it's roughly like the same setup and it feels the same because when I played Radius, that's what I was thinking too. I was like, this is like very similar to the Armory, just a couple thousand smaller basically. Well, maybe not quite that, but yeah,
And you
it's a
did Radius
little bit
too.
smaller. Correct. Yeah. Also with Ganja White Knight on their tour just this year.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was a
this
sick
year.
tour. I went to that tour and it was in Kansas City, which is like one of the like handful of stops that you weren't on.
Right. No, that was one of the things too. Is some of the man. That's why it ended up happening because I got put on like stops, and then like things changed because I had like they're like, oh, this is the dates and places that you're playing. I'm like sick, and then they ended up like changing a few, and I was like, oh shit, because there's a few cities that like New York was one of them that I know like a bunch of people there, and I have actually yet to play New York, which is kind of crazy, but it was like one of those ones where I have a bunch of people that listen to me and they've been waiting to see a set and then I was about to tell them and then and then I was about to once we were about to announce it I was excited to tell them and then they switched everything. It's like son of a bitch, but that's just what
That's gotta be
happens.
crazy. That, like, last minute switch, like, I've not dealt with that on a touring level, but I know for me, like, I'm super meticulous about details. Like, I like to know what I'm doing 2 months out, 3 months out, and if
Right, right.
something changes, I'm over here like,
You're like, I don't like it.
"This is weird. Change scares
No,
me."
it really does. I mean, like, I guess for me too, I'm definitely like a go with the flow kind of person, so it's not too big of a deal. Especially, I've had so many weird things happen. Like it's been four shows I was supposed to play in Denver, and I've only out of the four, I've only played one because all of them have been like canceled due to like weather or like some other thing happening. To where like one of my first one, I was supposed to like headline the Black Box, and then it was the night before the like a crazy snowstorm happened and everything got shut down and my flights got canceled and then I just couldn't go. And then the whole show got canceled and then it happened like another time. And then I had Red Rocks, and then I was supposed to do another one after that, and that one also got canceled. So far, I'm like 1 for 4 on Denver shows, but
But at
it's
least
not like
Red Rocks worked, right? Like, if
yeah,
the like,
that was the
dude,
apparently
that's the
that's the
one you
only
want
way.
to work.
Yeah, that's the one that you want to work, but so
You
far that's
signed the
the only
wall?
time. Yeah, I did get to sign the wall. I got to sign the wall, and then apparently there'll be like a plaque in there because when you're like under the venue, they have like plaques all over the walls that basically say like this is who played here when at what like on a certain year, and then so everyone gets put on there. So apparently my name will be on that too, besides the wall thing, which is really cool. So I was like,
When are we
damn,
getting Thread Rocks?
I don't know. I don't know. Whenever I have no idea, man.
You gotta admit
I
that rolls off the tongue very well. Thread
Thread
Rocks.
rocks. Yeah. No, it definitely does. It's just one of those things. I mean, I gotta get bigger, I guess. I'm not quite there yet. Definitely not quite there yet.
I
You
still think
know.
it's crazy. Crankdat just did. You see what he named it? It was Crank Rocks.
Yeah. No, I think that's actually really great. It's
I
like
still can't
crank rocks.
believe he's getting all these. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. He's
No, you're
getting all
good.
these shows that he's naming after his name, and him and Woolie's thing. I think they did it for the first time at Dance Festopia, but they've been doing the back to back, and they've been calling themselves Wankdat. Have you seen that?
No, but it's really good.
And guess where? Guess what? Guess what? Wankdat is now proudly on the flyer of Ultra.
What? Really? No way.
Yeah, they actually got
That's
Ultra to do it.
well, I mean that's the name, right? It's like you put it's like Fun Case, you know, when you think about it. It's you know, it's like they put their name on there and it's I mean it's not as obvious, I guess. I mean it is pretty obvious, but it's not as obvious as Wank That. But
I
that's
don't
so
know,
great.
man. I had I think I was on two different lineups with Funtcase, and that came probably 2016, 2017-ish, and I first heard about him in 2012, and it was about that amount of time I had no idea what Funtcase meant.
Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, I
I
guess
don't know
it
how I
was
didn't pick up on it, man.
I guess that's true. I definitely it was the same with me too. I don't remember like when I realized it, but it definitely wasn't right away. So I mean, I guess that's
But when
true.
you did
Like it's not
realize it, were you just
when you
like,
did realize you're like, oh right. It just goes like right above your head. But I mean, I guess like yeah. That's so
so
wild.
so you've done some really cool stuff. You've done the tour with Ganja. You've put out some really sick releases. How did this all begin for you, man? Like, what? I don't know if I've ever actually asked you this outside of the podcast setting, but like, how did music start for you?
Well, I always wanted to like make music, but when I wanted to, I wanted to like be more into like hip hop because I like that a lot. That's what I like. That's what really captured my attention first, like as a kid. Like I always like music. Like I listened to like Blink 182 and like shit when I was really younger, but definitely the when I really got sucked into music, it was hip hop for sure. And then so once that happened, I wanted to like make hip hop music, but I knew I couldn't really like rap. I mean, I never really tried, and also I hate my voice, and I feel like I just don't have a rapper's voice. So, but I don't know. Like I always wanted to do that, and then I always like pushed it off for so long, and then it was I ended up going with my friend to my first EDM show, and that was it was like Hero Bus and Grammatic, and like from there I just really yeah I like fell in love with it, and I didn't even tell anyone. I just started like I downloaded virtual DJ on my laptop and I just started like fucking with it. And I was like at the start I was trying to like mix songs. I had no idea what I was doing, like to the point where I was trying to mix songs that were like two different BPMs because I just didn't understand at first. And then like from there, just slowly taught myself. And then once I DJ'd for a little bit, I kind of got sick of looking for music that I wanted to hear. So then I just started making my own. And that was kind of like, that's just where it went from there. It was a more like, when people get to know me, they realize I'm ridiculously picky with music. And I mean, most of my music, I don't really like even that much. Like by the time I'm done with it, I'm like, I think this is trash. But like, it's so like, that's what made me start making it just because I wasn't finding the stuff that I wanted to hear and like the things that like tickled my brain in like the proper way or however you want to say. So then that's just kind of how it got there. It was just like it was a weird like one event to another. It was almost by I always want to do it, but it was almost kind of by mistake that I just kind of ended up here. And that's kind of been like the whole thing. I've kind of been surprised to get is where I'm at now. I'm so grateful for everything that's happened and everything that I've been able to do just because I'm just kind of like throwing shit in the wind. Just make a song, put it out, maybe
But
send some
man,
emails.
you're throwing
Like
it out into the right direction of the wind, at least. And I do
apparently,
think
yeah.
there's got to be some sort of cosmic lucky dice roll that happened where you're coming into this from rap and hip hop, but you wind up at a Hero Bus show as your first show.
hmm
I feel like that is a crazy, crazy dice roll result.
No, it really is, because it was
It's like
like
rolling
the
nat 20, right?
right. No, well, because that's kind of what it was. And the thing that was funny is that, like, I actually don't remember Hero Bus very much. I just remember he was playing, but it was more like Grammatic that like stole that, like really got me into it. And I think it was because of, it's probably like the big hip hop influence that Grammatic has too. That
Yeah.
a lot of it's
Yep.
like, it's kind of like hip hop beats in a sense. So I think that was because it was definitely Grammatic for sure that like really got me into it. And it's funny because now to this day I don't really listen to Grammatic very much. It's just kind of like everything just evolves. I mean, that's just kind of how I even am now, to where I don't stick with the same genre, whether it's making it or listening, to where like I'll go into like um I don't know, like I had a huge psytrance phase to where like I always just like almost only listen to psytrance, and then right now it's I don't it's I'm kind of in a lull to where I'm like going back and listening to old music. And honestly today I was like going through songs, just going through songs, listening on Spotify, like my like tracks, and even the songs that I do like, nothing was just like vibing with me, you could say. I just kept skipping even songs that I really like, and I'm just sitting there like
I've been
I'm
doing that
like,
too. Yeah.
really? Okay. So it's like
Yeah.
maybe, yeah, I was like, I think I'm in, because normally in this whole thing, I always go through phases of where like I'll make like a bunch of like a certain genre, but it ends up turning into a different genre because I can't like, I normally don't write like a specific one. It's just influenced by one. And right now I'm in a spot where it's like I don't know what is like really fueling me with that, which is I do like, because then it comes up with like some weird crazy shit. Like some of the stuff that I was last working on is just, I don't know. It's another one of those things where like I don't know what to call this. You know what I mean? Which like I do like, but it just I'm in a weird funk. It's not like a funk because it's not bad. It's just different
It's
because I'm
just a
like,
weird it's like a purgatory almost. I know
right,
exactly what you're talking about because I'm in the
right.
same thing right now. I'm going back and listening to like old metal and like old rap and hip hop, and I to be honest, sorry to anybody who listens to dubstep on the podcast right now, but I have not been listening to dubstep like at all. Like it's just not hitting right for me. You got your obvious W's right now in the dubstep game. Like for me, it's the heavier guys. I listen to like Sudden Death, Prosecute, Nimda, Stag has been huge. Like but that whole I guess category of like dark and like angry dubstep's really been on the radar for me, but like not it's still like 10% compared to the rest, which is I don't know, it's all over the place. But it's like you said, it's not bad because you're gonna probably pop out of that with some kind of crazy combination. I remember the last time I did that, I remember this vividly. I made a mid-tempo corn inspired metal EDM track. Like and I mean like mid-tempo, but it was like almost like a mixture between like the Dylan Francis kind of mid-tempo stuff, the Moombahton stuff, and like 1788L mid-tempo. And
Right.
it never came out, unfortunately. It's still on my hard drive somewhere, but that fusion would never have happened had it not been for like just being in sort of this weird directionless space, I guess.
Right. Well, like I don't know. It's a big thing for me too is when this always happens, it's typically because I just can't find anything like new that really sounds that great to me, because a lot of the stuff that say I get fed through like recommended songs on like SoundCloud or Spotify, it just like a lot of it to me will sound like the same. It sounded like the last one, and everyone's like, I feel like a lot of people are doing the same thing as everyone else. It's like, I feel like it's almost getting to it's 'cause especially with dubstep, like I feel that so much. I feel like it's almost getting at the end of a phase to where I wouldn't be surprised if it starts like switching to like whatever the new popular genre is going to be. Back how like years and years ago it was like trap was like the big thing, and then that fell off, and then like dubstep slowly grew, and it was like rhythm and dubstep and all that, which I love all of them. But it was just, at a certain point it gets so saturated. I would say maybe that like everyone's just trying to do the same things, and then they all sound the same, which is, I mean, it happens. Like there's plenty of songs that I've made that sound like someone else, but it's just, I don't know. It's one of those weird things. That's what I think it is, at least for me, that it's like everything I hear, it's just not quite, I'm like, I've heard it before. It sounds okay. Or it sounds like the last thing, but
Or
it's
the
like,
ideas, right? I have ideas
right.
where I'm making something and I don't even wanna finish it because I'm like, "Oh, this is something that's been done 17 times." Like,
Yeah,
so
well, like, yeah. No, I feel
So
that.
what do you think? Because this is actually something I've been wondering myself. So I have two guesses as to what is going to really take over the like dubstep, over saturation. And I think that they're both subgenres of dubstep, but I think that the two things that are really going to poke through in the next 2-3 years are going to be that like UK bass, almost kind of Skrillexy inspired stuff. Because I mean, let's be honest, anything Skrillex does, we can call this. I like to call this Skrillanomics, where anything Skrillex does has a market space for at least 2 years. It's a proven fact historically. He is a
Yeah.
tastemaker to no end. And it's one of those things where, like, I think that's gonna have a place in music as long as he's doing it. But then also that like levity tape B, which also kind of I would kind of mix in that like Wakan DDD vibe of dubstep. I think that's gonna see more of a spotlight the next 2 years.
See, that's like the second one where you're saying, like the tape B style, like that is what I would guess because that's just what seems to be like it's even slowly getting implemented in a lot of like bigger dub like you go to like Lost Lands or something, it's getting more and more implemented every year. And even on
Didn't
like the main
T-Pain do
stages and stuff.
I think
Yeah, yeah,
T-Pain did a bunch of stuff like that too. Like,
exactly. So it's like, well, so the reason I definitely think it's gonna go that way, because a lot of people, I mean, one, it's to me, I mean, okay, I feel like it's one of those ones where it's not like it's easy to make, but it is like a little more simplistic in my mind, which is always like good. Like it's just like when you make music, if I make something too complicated, it ends up sucking because it's too complicated. So it's like one, it's like simplistic, so people just love it because it makes sense when something's simple. It's just easier to like, and it's really easy for that genre to where you take an old popular like T-Pain song or anything and you can like throw it under the vocals and it just sounds really good. It's like the stuff that like Weathen's doing and a bunch of other people who like that shit's popping off to where it's like it's the whole set that people are doing are just old. It's almost like old tracks or some like sick ass vocals over that like kind of style with like the sustained bass or like the I don't know like just crunchy basses. I guess I don't know. I don't know
yeah,
how to
it
describe them, but I feel
it
like
hits the
that's
nostalgia. It hits big
no,
time nostalgia.
definitely.
And then you also have the fact that, and I think this is almost the pop music effect, where if you look at every like earworm pop song that does well, goes platinum, gets a Grammy, whatever, there's always a repeat section. Like there's always a vocal that gets repeated over and over again. Just
Right.
think about it. Like, so we start to have that in this more simplistic kind of style of dubstep. We're talking about that like tape B style levity, like,
Yep.
and I think that that's also possibly one of the reasons rhythm got so popular is because of the
Well,
repetitions and synths.
no, well, it is because it's like, you find something that's catchy and then you just kinda, like, repeat it because if it stays catchy for the whole, like, couple minutes, of the song, then that's really good. I mean, that's kinda what it is, and that's because then it gets really stuck in your head, and then you just can't, like when you're not listening to it, you're thinking about it, and then you wanna go back and listen to it, and then so just, like I mean, replay value, that's so huge with any song. Like, if you have any sort of replay value in a track, that's how they, do well, at least. So it's like it's one of those things that I definitely see that being the next, like, popular thing, which I think is cool because at least it leaves a little more I feel like there'll be a little more well, I guess, I don't know, we'll see. I just imagine that there's hopefully more opportunities for it to be different and, not be the same thing over and over again, but, I've already seen a lot of similarities in it, but I'm also a nitpicky asshole, like, I'm really, like I'm
Heard you
such
on
a,
that.
like,
Big time.
I'm such yeah, I'm such a jerk with that. Sometimes I'm like, "Oh, it's the
I
same thing."
really
Yeah,
am.
I
Dude,
am
I'm a
too,
snare
so it's
snob.
Oh, are
I'm a
you snare
snare snob, dude. Because like, I'll be in the club with my friends and, so and so really good DJ is playing or, whatever, right? Like, you picture whatever really optimal scenery, right? And we'll be, like, at the bar and, like, ordering a drink, and, like, my friends and I'll be vibing, but then they'll look over and they see me just and then, like, my friends are like, "No, dude, stop." stop, don't do that. You know
Yeah,
what you're about to do. And I'm like, you know, the kid in class, that meme where his like veins popping out of his forehead. Like
yep, that's
that's me, but with like when I hear if the transients aren't coming through enough on a snare, if the fundamentals not in, like if it's a tonal snare and it's like out of key with the song or something, I will pick up on that, and
yeah,
I'll hate on the song for it. It's not a
that's
good trait.
the
I'm too picky.
no,
I'm way too picky.
it's definitely it's part of like I guess a producer curse too, because it's like I kind of was always really picky, but the more and more that I make music, the more and more picky I get, and then even like going back and listening to old songs of mine, I'm like, man, you fucked that up.
Well, I do that
Like,
all the time too. What's
yeah.
what's the one that you do that the most with out of your catalog? Is there one?
Just today I went back and it was in my head, and so I played. It was I just got back from a show in Milwaukee, and then some person was talking to me about a my song. It's like a remix of a local band from here. It's called Lights Out, and that one, like I love the song. I thought it turned out super well. It's one of the few that I made that I'd actually like listen to like multiple times. I was like, I actually like this song. But when I went back and listened to it actually today, because the guy was talking about it, uh, I realized that like I just washed out the vocals too much. They were like what I would have done is I would have definitely toned like back or like dialed back all the processing I did with like the reverb and like extra like shit that I threw in the background of those vocals just to like make it a little clearer. And it just felt like it needed to be a little like the effects from it needed to be more in the background and the vocals need to be brought out more. But that was kind of like the one thing with it. But that one for sure it was like that. But besides that, it actually has been a bit since I've gone back and like really listened to something and been like oh you fucked that up. Some of my old
Dude,
ones though, like a lot of the old ones that I have, I when I've done it before previously, I was like, wow, these are like really good ideas, but it was just poorly executed, more in like mix or sound design, or like it just needed to be cleaner, in my opinion. And that was just like one of those things to where that's what typically happens. I'm like, that was a great idea, but you just barely
the
missed.
mix, right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel like that is the Achilles heel, especially in electronic dance music, is the mix and the master, because we are working with such complex soundscapes and combinations of different elements that it is hard to iron out, you know, where in the frequency range you want a certain thing to hit, you know, how loud do you want that to be, what do you want the dynamic range to be? Oh, and also, where do you want that to be in the stereo field? Da, 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 da. And they do that 80 different times because, you know, your song has 80 different layers in it, and then, you know, and the next thing you know, it's a little bit difficult.
yeah.
Really quick, so I
Sometimes,
actually have a tip. I have a tip for that problem that you described. You probably already know this by now, but this is more for the listeners. So, if you have a problem where your vocal effects are overtaking the mix, but you want the effects to still be rich, take your dry vocal sample, put it on a parallel chain, put all of your effects on a separate chain. So you have effects on one, dry signal on the other. Do all of your effects over there at 100% dry wet, and then what you're going to do is take that chain and sidechain it against the original vocal recording pre-effects. So you're basically going to sidechain the effects to themselves. And then you
yep,
drop the threshold. That way, when somebody's singing, when the lyrics are happening, you get the lyrics. But then when they
yep.
let up, the effects come in. Do you know about that one yet? Do you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. No, that was one of those things to where it was like, yeah, to whereas once I kind of like figure, because what I would do before, I'd basically do everything. Because like with that song specifically, what I would do is I would do all of that except for the side chaining. So I would have like a side, like, you know, I would just have it like, like a different, a whole different like track processing, all the effects and everything, but I just wouldn't side chain it. I would do so that because that's how I like do almost most of my like effects on everything except for like maybe well actually most of the time I will do that like everything will just be completely separate. It'll just be I'll have a dry one and then a separate track is a wet one and then just kind of mix them in there because it feels like I have more control when I do that
You're
because I
not
have been
playing
doing
that
that for
game
a
of
while.
tug of war. Like, you know
No,
what I'm
no,
talking about? The
not at
dry
all.
wet tug of war? Because you have both.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So then you just yeah because then you just have the you just have the wet on 100% and then just mix it from there and you know sometimes it just makes it so much easier.
I don't know if this applies to the type of music that you make, but I do this a lot for heavy dubstep. So, I for the really heavy drop synths when you really want that high end, not crunch, that's a different process, but like when you want the high end to be really filled out and sound massive, I'll basically there's videos. I believe Barely Alive did a video a bunch of years ago on this where they suggested to basically put a white noise, uh, and you just do a really fast responding side chain against your drop synth so the white noise fills out the in between space. Actually, I've found that the parallel chain reverb trick works really well. You just have a high frequency input filter and then, usually a pretty quick response time, just enough to kind of smear the signal a little bit, but it almost does the white noise trick to fill out the mix using the original sounds that you have. So instead of it being just a solid white noise that doesn't really
Right.
mean anything in your mix, it's based off of what you're already producing.
That is actually good. Yeah, because I don't do that at all. Because I don't normally. Yeah, I normally. I mean, I am trying to fill the space, but I'm not. Since I don't make dubstep very often, I'm not like really. It's a different style of filling the space. I'm just trying to make it like deeper, not like more full kind of thing. You know what I mean?
You use a lot of tonal stuff that I feel like having tonal
Yeah.
emphasis is really important. For me,
Right.
this is more for just like if you want your song to sound like Transformers fucking like that's that's when you do this trick.
No, well, exactly, because you're right. I like most of it is there's like a ton of tones in there. So then, so a lot of times I probably could find a way to do it, but most of the time I got to keep it. I got to keep it a little more, I guess, like bare with everything in the background, just because the more shit I'd add to it, the more you're not gonna be able to hear the tones of the regular the lead. You know what I mean? Of the
Less
weird
is
liquid sound.
less is more in that case, right? Like I think less
Right.
is more for sure.
No,
But
exactly. That's what it'll end up being with like most of the time with mine is that I make that mistake pretty frequently to where I just try and keep adding more shit and then I just made it sound worse and then I just have to remove stuff. But I mean that's kind of the process, right? It's like the mix is done when you don't have anything else to remove, not stuff to add kind of thing. That's the way I look at it at least.
I tell my students to have dumb it down sessions. I literally call
Yeah,
them dumb it down sessions. If they have something that's too complex, I'm like, here, give yourself an ear break after our session, take some time, let your ears rest. When you come back to this project, have a session where you do not add anything, don't make any mix changes, but save a new live set or save a new iteration of the project file if you're not in Ableton. And all you're allowed to do for that hour is just find things that you would delete out of it and just see what
that's
works. Like,
right.
because you might find a simple concept that you've buried, because you've had these stages of your creativity all sort of mishmashing together over however many sessions. And,
No, really, it does make a huge difference because, like, I mean, that's like a big thing. It was just like what we are saying earlier about, the good chance of that style of music, like the tape B style, like really popping off just because, I mean, keeping it simple, man, it's really like it makes a huge difference. I do struggle with that personally a lot because I make it and then because I do like it on the complex side. Like most of the songs I release are just they're a little wild. They're kind of just out there and like they're one of the ones that yeah, it's not like I'm gonna listen to this like easily in the background because otherwise you'd be like this is just trash because you're not gonna be able to you know it's just a lot of it's too complex, which is definitely not always the best thing in
no,
my
there's a
opinion
time
at
and a
least.
place. Time and a
Right,
place.
exactly. Like I
So,
do it too much.
so speaking of struggle, this kind of brings us cleanly into the next bit. So I've been asking everybody who comes on this podcast, what are, if you can think of a specific hardship or like some struggles, challenges that you faced getting where you started, up to where you are now? Can you think of anything that stands out that was a hardship for you?
I mean, nothing crazy except for just the typical whatever I know everyone else has it is the internal conflict. The like you go through a phase of where you're like, I'm terrible at this, I'm dog shit. There's no like I don't it's the what is it? Wow, I'm blanking on the term.
Imposter
But
syndrome?
yes, that. So like it's the imposter syndrome thing to where like I feel like I don't belong where I'm at, like I don't deserve any of this. Like, I'll go and just listen, I don't know, or like you can't write a song just one day and then you just assume that like that's it, that's the end of it. I wrote every song I possibly could there, or like it'll be a month after a really good one that you thought, one that you liked a lot, and it's like, there's no way I could ever write anything bigger than this or better than this. You know what I mean? Even though you always do, you always end up making them. It always comes back. That's like the one of the biggest things. That and the battle with yeah, it's always just internal battles because it's the same battle with that like, hey man, you need to post more content. You need to be more on social media when that's like the thing that I just ever since it's been a thing, I've just not liked it. I keep my phone on silent all day. I get no notifications. It's
My
impossible to get a hold
notifications
of
are
me.
off too, dude.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it's when people try and get a hold of me, like it's really hard. And to anyone listening who has ever tried to talk to me over the internet, sorry, because I just don't respond because I don't like looking at my phone. So, like, I'm an
That's
in-person
honestly
kind of
great.
person. I love it. It makes me happier. You know what I mean? To like never be on social media or anything like that. But it's a huge struggle because I know I should be doing it. I mean, I don't have to, obviously, but it's not necessarily hurting my career, but it definitely isn't helping. It definitely makes it go a lot slower. You know what I mean? The build, because you technically you could do this whole thing old school and never really do social media aside from like, here, I have this show or blah blah blah. We're not trying to do like reels to like boost engagement or whatever, or trying to have a video go viral. I mean, you can, but it's definitely it doesn't make sense because why not use the tools that we have on this day? Because we have to. It's basically get with the program or probably get left behind kind of thing when it comes to doing the social media thing. So that's like my daily struggle. It's almost every day I kind of like struggle with that because it's always in my head and I'm just trying to ignore it, but because it's like
Yeah.
I just don't
No.
want to. I don't want to do it, but
No,
I
I
will.
feel
You
that
know.
I don't wanna do content either. I'm starting to figure out how to with Ascendry because I know that by doing content with Ascendry, I'm helping promote you guys and hopefully helping this platform grow, and, that's sort of my motivation right now, but, like, I remember back in 2019, a really good friend of mine who nowadays he's working with Universal, so I won't, like, name him just in case there's, like, an NDA related thing or whatever, but,
Right.
he told me that, if I want to have a career going forward in music, I will have to become basically a content creator on like TikTok or Instagram Reels. And I remember my first response to that, and I think I might have said this to him on the phone, was, well, fine, I don't want a career then.
I mean, like, I feel you because that's why, I'm gonna do it anyways. It's like I was talking to some people at it was like Osteria and someone else and Zoska in Michigan not too long ago, and we had got on this
Both
topic, and
dope.
yeah, no, they're both awesome. They're both very great. Yeah, no, we got on the same topic, and I told them that it was that I'm gonna do this anyways. I'm gonna make the music anyways. So it's like if I do the social media thing, that I really should, but I gotta try to either just do it or just do my best to ignore the internal thing saying you should be posting or doing these reels or whatever, just because otherwise, like. But either way, I'm gonna make the music, so whatever happens is gonna happen. However I do
I
it, I
mean, a
guess. I don't
good
know.
song, if you write a hit and that hit blows up and it's to the point where people make content for you using that song,
Right?
then that's not gonna matter. I mean, I can't
Exactly.
think of ever having seen Hamdi making, I'm sure he does make content, but I'm just not that much of a doom scroller. I don't really look at people's, like, I go on the explore page on Instagram, and that's always, like, oddly enough, it's like festival videos where, like, attendees are, like, posting videos from the thing, like, from the crowd, and it's either that or, like, cat videos or, like, AI cat videos, or like more AI cat videos. So anyway, I doom
Yeah.
scroll, but I never come across like DJ's content, right? So I don't recall ever having seen Hamdi posting like tons of content to blow up, but yet we all know Hamdi's music.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing is that because you don't have to, right? Like if your music is good enough, and that's one of those things to where that's why it's even my wife tells me all the time that she's like you don't she's like try not to worry about it because it almost doesn't like it matters, but it doesn't because it's the same thing to where even if you're posting all the time, like half the time I imagine how it goes. Actually, that might not be the case, but I imagine the reason why a song or like a reel blows up, like with a track in it, is because the song's just really good. And it has nothing to do with whatever content they did. That's why I don't know. But that, that's why I even considered I'll just, if I do like trying to do the content, just doing really, if I can find a way, or it'd be really easy, but just record myself doing normal things. Like I'll just do the dishes and put my song over it because, I just don't care. Because it's,
Honestly, that's the simple content is kind of fun. I did one earlier today where like I just took my tripod out to the parking lot and just put it up next to a parking spot, and I captioned the video like waiting for my Ferrari to show up now that I made an app. And it was just me standing in like 5 different places, just looking really confused, like checking the time, like looking around, waiting. And I think the whole shoot time and edit time was about maybe 20 minutes. It was up by minute
Right.
30 of even deciding to go outside and do it. And
No,
that was
exactly.
kind
Like,
of funny just because it's like building a app is, not to veer us off topic, but it has been so much more work than I ever anticipated it being. I don't know what I was expecting it to be, but it is definitely proving to be, a test of, how committed, are you with this kind of thing, right? But um to make little subtle nods like that, it took me like 20 minutes, and it's actually performing decently. I haven't really gone and interacted with the comments, shame on me, but
no, and like that, so that's what I've noticed too, anyways, is that because the one thing I do know about the social media game is that like the more genuine it is, the better it does. It seems to be the case at least. And so that's why I would consider on like doing like the how I was saying, just some like stupid thing of me doing laundry or like dishes or laundry or whatever, just stuff that I do on a regular basis or like in the next few days I'm gonna have to leaf blow my whole backyard because all the leaves are falling finally. And you know what I
dude,
mean?
do a
Just
time
stuff like
lapse.
that. Yeah, like exactly, just stuff like that. And then because that's the one thing, because besides like making music, pretty much I spend most of my time just like taking care of my house and my animals. And besides that, or like if I have free time, I don't, in the winter, I don't do like anything else in the winter. So, that's what I do is I just live, I guess. I don't know. That's it's
I
one of
think
those,
that's gonna work
hard
well.
things.
I think it'll work
I
well,
think it
man.
would. I mean, it's more of just a way to put the music out there that isn't just, "Here's a picture of my cover art. Well, you can listen to the song if you want." You know
Oh,
what I
that's the
mean?
worst thing you
Yeah.
can do. Absolute
Yeah.
worst thing. I remember back when, like, if you got a release on, like, a big label or something, you're like, "Yo, my song's coming out on this label, da da da," and all you post is the artwork and, like, hundreds of reactions and messages and hard ticket sales later because, like, whatever, people were like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go buy a ticket to this show now." Used to be a real thing, and it's like now posting just the artwork is, like, the worst thing you can do. Second worst thing you can do with it is post a reel, but it's just the still artwork, right? Like, you see people do that. Oh my god, that gets
I
on
feel
my
like that'd
nerves.
almost be worse than, yeah, I feel like it's almost worse than just doing a post because at that point you are just pissing somebody off. They're
I just
like,
wanna
"This is a
poke you with a
reel?"
stick, just like, do something, dude. Do something.
Yeah. No, and it's, yeah, because that's so true though, is that it is like not a very good thing to do. That's the struggle nowadays, but, I mean, it makes sense. It totally makes sense. And honestly, like, the way I try and look at it is that we should be, like, grateful for the fact that we have this option, to have the option to, like, post something on TikTok and a reel on Instagram because they, even when you're somebody who's, like, you're posting your first one, like, on, like, say, TikTok or something, there's plenty of times where I post them, they get, thousands of plays on just some random reel that I did of a song that I made. And it's like quick too. You can get like 1,000 in a couple of days. And it's like that doesn't typically happen when you like just start. If you went and you put a song on Spotify and you don't have anything else, like there's with no like following on there, yeah, you're gonna get like a play maybe, and those are the, you won't get very many. You'll get a
You'll
few,
get
and they'll
your
be all
play, and
because you're.
it's your phone going to make sure the song sounds okay on Spotify.
Exactly. And so like that's the thing. So we really like I should be very grateful for that, and I still just don't take advantage of it for some stupid reason. I don't know. I have no idea yet, but I'm figuring it out. I don't know.
Que sera, sera, right? What will
Yeah.
be,
Yep,
but
exactly.
so
No,
as
it's
far as sorry, I just want to kind of jump into this next thing real quick. So as far as teaching goes, have you before you became a mentor on Ascendry app, had you done any like teaching with
I
music
have.
production yet?
I've done some. Yeah, I've done some, but it wasn't like a crazy amount. It was more like, I mean, I would do it, and it was just for people who would like reach out. But then there was a stretch to where like I didn't have much time. I didn't have much time to do it, and that was literally mainly it. It was really hard to find the time to actually sit down with people and teach them. So then I stopped for a while, and then when I found out you were making the app, and then you would like to have me as like a mentor and everything, I'm like, this is a perfect offer. Like, it's perfect for me to do this because I don't know. I don't know. I'm just really I'm really grateful that you have me here because it's like back to the whole social media thing. And since I don't like promote any of that stuff, this like you technically helped me with that, and then I can't really thank you enough for that. Especially all the stuff that you've endured trying to get this thing. Like, yeah, but I mean, it's one of
Mostly
those, that
software issues. It's mostly
yeah,
software issues. That's yeah, not a
right,
big
right.
deal, but when there's 700 of them.
That's what you're like, what the fuck? But I mean, like, it's yeah, I taught before, but not like a crazy amount. But the more I do it, the more I actually enjoy it, and it gives me like energy. It's one of those things to where like you sit down and have a conversation with someone, or you do something that you really like. Half the time you get energy from it. Like you leave it and you're still like you're almost like pumped up, and you can go. You feel motivated to go do anything, and that's how I feel after every lesson, which is definitely something that I like. And so the more that I do this, the more I'm like, hell yeah, this is fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy like connecting with somebody and like helping them, you know, try and see their vision with the song or whatever, trying to just fix something in their mix, whatever it is that they want to do. And it's like, hey man, I can help you with that.
Well, apparently you can because I don't know if you guys know this or if I've disclosed this, but there is actually an algorithm on the homepage and in the like mentor listing carousels and all that that goes on a sorting order based on primarily reviews, like 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, etc. Now, there's like there's checks and balances in place if ratings go too low or whatever. But if a mentor gets like 5-star ratings, it'll actually push you up on the website. And I'm pretty sure I would have to go look to double check this, but I'm pretty sure you show up as like second or third mentor on the homepage now
Oh, damn.
because
That's
you've
cool.
got 5-star ratings already and it's super early on, and people have hit me back with, because even with the like one of the bookings that came through for you, it was like there was tech issues galore. Like you were having them, the student was having
Yeah.
them, I was getting the emails, and I got an email back after you guys connected. He was giving you props, and so it's I'm happy to have you on this platform too, because it's like not only do you teach something that I think is of course popular, it's on the up and up, but it's always kind of been around since EDM production was really becoming popular. But it's like, also people think that you're a good teacher, so it's like that's a different thing altogether. Like people can become, and I mentioned this on the last episode with Donnie Baker, that you know you can become a good producer, engineer, or whatever, but being a good instructor, being a good teacher is it's a different muscle group. So
No, I know.
it's
I mean, that was one of those things I kind of knew, but well, I always like knew it, but I just never knew if I had it kind of thing. Cause I knew that like teaching and like just doing isn't the same thing, of course, but that was one of those ones where it's like, that's why before, like when I first did my first few, like my lessons before this, I was very, guess I was a little scared because I didn't want to like teach someone and then I feel like they don't get like their money's worth. I don't want them leaving that and be like, well, I would only learned or something like that. I want to make sure that they like, so
that's
that's
a
one of those
valid
things
fear.
yeah, I was scared at first for sure. But the more I did it, the more I get like comfortable with it. But it was still like, cause I just wasn't sure. I'm like, am I good at teaching? Could I actually do this? Cause the only things I did before the teaching that like would be sort of similar in the music, like in music, is I'd do the feedback live streams that I used to do a bunch, and those I knew it was kind of the same thing, but those like nobody had to pay for it. I was just doing it for free. But
And you're kind
those
of
like I
rapid firing. It's almost like speed dating when you do like a
right,
production feedback thing, because you're listening to 2 minutes of a song and giving constructive feedback, and then you got to move on. Like,
No, exactly, but, like, when I did that, I found out that I was, like, pretty decent at it. A lot of people, like, would, basically thank me and, like, afterwards or show me the song again, like, the next week or just send it back and then be like, "Hey, like, what you said, like, totally works." Like, the suggestion that you had, because I would also too, like, most of the suggestions I would give would be like, "Hey, take it with a grain of salt because this is my like, when it comes to, like, a feedback on a song, unless it's like some mixing issue, a lot of it is completely opinion. It's like,
mhm.
it's like, I didn't like this. I feel like you should do the build up this way, blah, blah, blah. And then so, I tell them that, but there'd be plenty of times where people would do something and be like, I like it better that way. I'm like, cool, that's good. That's why it's like, try it because you might as well. Because if you like it better, then great. And if you don't, you can just go back to the way it was.
Binary sequence. It's a 1 or a 0. You're either gonna like it better or you're gonna prefer what you did, and it's like, if it's
Exactly. And
something
yeah,
like production, it's super, super important to understand. I mean, this goes for, like, this is me primarily saying this to the viewers, but it's like, if you receive feedback from somebody and it's like production based, like what Josh is talking about, that can be very subjective, very opinion based. But when it's mix advice, a lot of the time that's very much absolute. It's very objective at that point. So it's like knowing the difference between the two is super important too. So
yeah, because that's what it would be. It'd be because a lot of the times it wouldn't be that much. I'd always like try and say something like obviously that I liked, and then something that I feel like needs work. But it'd be a lot of times I would do a lot of I feel like almost every time it wouldn't be every time, but it was a lot of times I would end up like picking out something in the mix. But that's just like I'm always looking for that shit. I'm always looking for some weird thing that just sounds just not quite right, but then, it's easier when it's someone else's song, I feel like, half the time, because, when I listen to mine, like, I'm making it, and then I don't hear anything wrong with the mix, and then I'll go back, and then, like, a week later, and then I, like, start noticing them because I didn't notice them before because I just kept hearing it over and over again, and I think, like, in my head that I'm hearing it a correct way or something, or I liked it that way, I don't know, but whereas maybe my brain changed, or my opinion on the song and how it should be mixed changes because, I don't know, I probably don't mix in the way that if you, like, went to school for it or something like that to where, like, this is how it should be done, I probably do it in a different way than those people do because it's like I do it the way that I want to hear it, you know? But, I
well,
mean, it's back
yeah.
to the opinion. That's more with, like, levels on where I want my highs and mids and, like, lows or, like, what I want coming out more. Because some songs, it's, I want the sub to be, like, a lot more noticeable than a different one. I don't know, but most of the time it's roughly the same. But there are a few times where I'm like, for some reason I just want this a little different. I want this higher. I want this turned up more just for because I don't know why. Just because it sounds right, even though it might be wrong. I don't know.
You have to trust those instincts though, because yes, it's like in the music production books, having read several of them and helped contribute to one of them, it's like I can tell you that there are some serious opinion spewers writing those books because they're going to tell you things in absolutes. But, you know, I always try to like tell my students that, it's important to remember that even Mozart, there's like proven track record in the sheet music that Mozart and Beethoven and Bach were all out here breaking the rules.
Right.
And
Well,
we still
that's
talk
yeah.
about their music to this
Exactly.
day.
And well, it's one of those things to where that's the one of the cool things about cool things about music is that there definitely are no rules. You can do whatever you want. You can do it however you want, and as long as it's just do it to where I'm pretty sure every single time I've taught somebody, I've said the same thing at one point to where it's like it doesn't matter. It's just as long as it sounds good to you. You know what I mean? It's like
Right.
as long as it sounds good to you, that's all that matters. And fuck everyone else. Like it's like
Try
who cares?
things out that might break the rules. I don't know. I mean, that whole fabled Space Laces crunch method is just a giant rule break. I don't know. Have you looked into how that's done?
No, I haven't actually.
Okay, so here's the way that I have gotten a similar sound to do this. I would take my subgroup and my drop synth group, use like FabFilter Pro Q4 to, if you want to go even further with this, I've been using the engineers filter the last like week or two, which is like an even more absolute cutoff. It's like any frequencies no longer exist, but below a certain threshold. Get all your sub frequencies that could be conflicting out. right? Separate them. And then you group them together, and you can either from there, if you have enough headroom, just add saturation to the group of groups, so your subs and your drop synths. But then you saturate the crap out of it. I'll use like M saturator from like Melda Production, but then you saturate it straight into a really good clipper that has good oversample, like standard clip. You can do like 64x oversample if your CPU will take it. So you do that, and then you just flatten the signal out. I know I've heard of some producers who will sidechain the drop synths down against the subs so that the drop synths start sort of taking the inverse shape of the sub before they do the saturation. But you see how this is complete hooey madness that
Yep,
you would never
that's
find in a music production textbook.
No.
And yet the sound is insane. Like a good example of this sound would be Space Laces This Way, anything by Hole, pretty much anything by Hurtbox, Prosecute. It's you get that really angry sound, and it's basically by destroying the mix of the sub and the drop synths. But then the key is you don't do that on the kick, the snare, the hi-hats, background elements, whatever else, so it's like a
Right.
calculated destruction.
Well, that's like the whole thing with like distortion too, is that like, when you would think when you push something like so far and it sounds like super distorted, and then but you do it on purpose just to make it like sound right. And I mean that's how like breaking the rules is one of the best parts. That's how I like found my sound, I guess. It was kind of like breaking the rules. It was more just like, I guess it was kind of breaking a rule, but I guess it was more just like fucking around and finding it by accident completely, of just like, I was like, it's like, at first I was like, how did I do that? And then I have to go back and be like, okay. And then sometimes I know it's like this for most people, but because it's like I can make the sound, but the one, like the ultimate one that ends in the songs, it's really hard to like replicate that half the time, because it'll be from like resampling or something like that. Because I've tried to do it before, to where like I liked a song from a project or a sound from a project, and then I tried to like just replicate it, and it kind of is, but not really. So then there's been times where I just have to go back to the thing, because it's like I want to start from that, and I'd have to go back to the project and actually like export it just so I could. Or if it was just the serum patch, then it's like, all right, I'll just turn this into a preset, and that's what's been happening over the years now. Now, like honestly, half the time I won't make the thread sounds from scratch anymore, almost, because I already have so many of the ones to where it's like I just start from one spot and then go from there, instead of trying to recreate it, because it'll take too long, because it's so many different to get like one specific thing. There's a lot of different LFOs. Basically what I do is I will put LFOs on different, like I will pitch like in Serum, I'll pitch like the master tune. I will also like do a separate LFO on the coarse pitch, and then on a second oscillator I'll do a separate LFO there, and then I'll also do them on like basically like almost anything that will change the tone, and then just like change them, and then so you modulate anything that will basically change the tone, and you do like a bunch of different ones, and it really fucks up the sound like completely. But then once you start like doing a different LFO on like a filter or something like that, or just the volume, then that's when I'll start shaping it, obviously. But then from there that's when I'll start to kind of sound like the liquid. And then after that, that's when you just throw in like, a lot of times I do like a phase filter, or like a comb filter or something like that, and that's what will actually give it more than just like a liquid zap. Because before, it won't be very like the song won't the duration of the sound won't be very long until I do that. And then that's kind of how it makes it. It's such a like complex, like obnoxious way to get to that sound, but that's just how it happened, and then that's just how I continue doing it. And it's like almost complete accident. It's really weird. Like, I'll have to send you a patch, and I'll just send you a Serum preset.
I
I'll be
would
like, look,
love.
this is what it's so weird.
Yeah, you don't got to worry. Your style of music is definitely not in the wheelhouse of anything so I'm not gonna, but I would love to take a look at the patch and see what you're talking about.
Yeah,
here,
no, definitely, I have to do that.
Really interesting, dude.
It's really, because even like because I've never really done that and explained it out loud, and when I started doing that, I was like, man, I sound like a fucking psychopath. Just because it's like,
okay.
it doesn't.
Dude,
like,
it's okay because it's like, I don't know. I've been having a lot of fun with I'll admit this is something I started doing because of an Odd Profit video, is like Tarot and Tempest thing. He was explaining how a patch was created involving stack on the overdrive in Serum 2, which, if you're not familiar, stack overdrive is a distortion. It's a category, it's a type of distortion inside of Serum 2. You just select overdrive, and then an option pops up called stack, and there's a number next to it. Stack 1 is just, the signal times 1. And then you start raising that stack number up, and it's like it multiplies the amount of signal that goes into the distortion. Now, you can see how this can get really destructive really quickly,
Yeah.
especially when you put like stack 16 on it, and you have like all 3 oscillators firing off with like a noise oscillator, and then you have different LFOs all doing different things on those. And then you pretty much just absolutely crush it. It's almost like it's almost like shoving the sound into, and I'm not talking about like scraping it against a cheese grater. No, I'm talking about you are making the block of cheese, the sound, just go straight through the cheese grater by force. It's like kind of what you're doing to the sound. And what happens can be really cool sometimes. 1 out of every like 10 times it can be really cool, but it sounds like
Right.
complete psychopath behavior, so I get it.
Right. Well, because that's how it because that's how it was. How I just ended up discovering it because it was a complete just. I was literally just fucking around, and then it just happened, and I was like, "Whoa, there's something to this." And then that's when I because if I didn't get to if there could have been like one little thing that I didn't do in that time when I discovered it to where I wouldn't have it wouldn't be where it's at today. It could have been like one, you know, just stopping at one point or just putting my putting my modulating a different thing. Just ended up doing it maybe instead I just went to the wavetable and tried to change that more instead of just doing the pitches of the sounds because I was just sitting there what happens if I put them all in these different places and then just fuck around with it and have them all go different directions, and then it was okay. Because yeah, I guess the one problem with it though is that it does. There are times where it's hard to keep it tame to where it's I want it to do this exact thing, and it's hard to get that exact thing. Every once in a while, it's it does. I can do it a lot, but there are times where I'm I just can't get it just right. I'm I need it to do this, but there's not really there's almost no rhyme or reason why it is. So half the time it's making the sounds and then just fucking around with it and then finding what's good and then using and then resampling those and making that into something because it's doing it this way that I did it is sometimes difficult to just do exactly how you want. I don't know. To
Well,
just make it do
it
exactly
is.
what you want it to do. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you have really, really tricky wavetables, like some of those wavetables that have like 256 frames in them that just look like complete madness. Like this isn't Serum, but I don't know if you remember in Massive, there was this one. Oh, this doesn't help that I can't remember the name of it, but there was this one oscillator setting you could do that sounded pretty much like alien robots. If you tweak the position on it 3%, it cycles into a completely different sound, and you
Right.
had the entire knob. I'm 99% certain that the Dubloads remix of Yasuo by Bomber and Crowell used that one. If you want to get a feel for what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
drop, it was like this just alien morphing robot noise, and you could not make the same sound twice with it. There were
Yeah.
such strict parameters you had to follow, and it's you probably weren't going to get the same sound twice. That's why I'm even lazier than anything you've described so far. I'll just copy paste the channel between project files. A lot of people don't realize you can do that, but I have copy pasted entire synth buses between project files. You just highlight it, copy, open the new project, paste.
That's actually really good. I honestly had no idea you could do that. I did not know. And
It
that's
goes to the
actually
extreme. I did a song called Antifreeze with a student of mine, Yvain, and it's this really weird. I mean, we were trying to see just how absurd we could make. We were just seeing what could happen here.
right.
And then came the time to make the VIP. I did not know at the time he was making a D&B version of it. because he was like really good at like respaces and stuff like that. Dude's insane with sound design. But I had done the whole like 140 BPM intro, slow us down to 128, make it even darker and creepier. Like, and I had kind of pulled some inspo from Getter's song Inhalant Abuse, the VIP of the song. And, you know, basically I was doing that. He was doing the other thing. And I'm like, well, there's two different project files and we need to make one VIP. What are we supposed to do? So I was like, here, send me the session. And we literally, I grouped his whole song into one big group, entitled it Evane, and then hit copy. And this was like 100+ tracks. And then I opened up my VIP version, labeled mine Blackout, and pasted. So there was literally two of the song. And then we spliced each part together group by group, and I think the total track count on that project was like 217 tracks. And it works, dude. It can go, you can copy paste anything between projects in
I did
Ableton.
not know that. That's actually very helpful. That could come in handy some of those times. Yeah, because I didn't know you could actually do that. Because there's been plenty of times where I have, or like I make a project, you know, it's something and it just kind of doesn't go anywhere, but you like certain parts of it, or you know, a certain element, or maybe just like one lead. And most of the time, what I do is because I mean, I pretty much always just use Serum, but almost every sound in the song is just a Serum patch. So then most of the time, if that happens, I just save the patch and then just go from there. But there's definitely benefits to being able to just copy paste the whole fucking thing. And
Yeah.
then I can keep everything that I did before instead of like doing a patch and then just opening Serum, do the preset, and then do all the effects and all the shit that I had before. So no, that's actually it's very helpful.
Dude, have you ever, okay, so this is another huge productivity hack, I think. Have you ever made a sample pack? Like, even if just for yourself?
Well, kinda, yeah. I mean, like over the years, I've like slowly kind of do one. I go in phases of like I do it for like a few months or something, or like and then I just stop for a while. And so I do have that, and so I can just like load up some sounds in there too. But I don't use
Dude,
them as
yeah.
often as I should. I honestly, I have. It's probably only been like once since I've started doing this so many years ago, to where I've actually went into my sample pack and grabbed sounds for a song. So that's something that I've known that I should do, but I've never like gone and do it. You know what I mean? Because I've seen so many people will say something like that, but I've never gone and done it yet. I don't know why.
I will
I just
say,
like,
dude, I'm the worst with that. So I did ever since 2022, I did a sample pack with Avant, and that was my first sample pack. My second one was EDM templates, Dubstep Inferno with Mag Mag. My third one was with Rocket Powered Sound this past year. And so I now have 3 sample packs, 1,500 sounds, enables and racks, and, whatever presets. And dude, 90% of the time I go in when I'm writing and I'm pulling shit from my own sample packs.
I mean, I think that's the best way to do it, because then, it definitely makes it quicker. I mean, you can write well, I mean, for the most part, you can write tracks quicker, but
Even
I
like
mean,
if you get
unless
just an initial idea out there and then you go through and replace the sounds later, it's good for like placeholders.
Well, it really is, yeah, because that's what I'll do with samples anyways, is that, like, half the time it's just to, like, throw something in there, and then you just kinda remove it and put it in later, or, like, put something else in later. Because a lot of times when I write, I just most of the time I just start off sound design, and then I just keep making something until something sounds cool, and then then just go from there, and then because I would say probably half the time, like, it'll be, like, maybe like, a 1 bar or 2 bar section of, like, a drop, like, that's just all, like, will just be, like, just one serum patch, to where you just hold down one key and then just makes a bunch of different, like, it'll be different tones, it'll be different keys in just the one patch, and then that's how I'll, like, kinda do it. So I just make something until I like that, and then I start writing the song, and then normally it goes, if I get something down that I actually like, it goes quick from there. But, you know yeah, if I did the sample thing, I bet you I could probably increase how quickly I make songs, which would be good.
Probably.
I mean,
I mean,
it's
you
still, yeah.
could.
It's still quick
Um,
though. I mean, but it's still like I bet you I could make it more efficient, and I just haven't. I don't know why.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so actually, I gotta ask you. So, how many songs do you think you've written? Like, how many? Do you know how many
Uh,
songs you've written since you started?
well, I don't know exactly, but if I look right here really quick, oops, it's the wrong thing.
Genuinely curious. I
Uh,
think you've given me a ballpark estimate
oh,
before, but
um, so I have 87 originals that are out, and then 40 remixes. That's just on SoundCloud. That's like public. So anyone can listen to any of those. And then besides that, I have a ton of unreleased. I've just because I mean I can typically I write songs pretty quick. It'll be, if I have an idea, it'll normally be done that day. So it's I don't know.
wow. And
We
you're over here
one
talking about
yeah.
how your workflow could be faster, brother. That is fast workflow. That is a
It's I mean
lot of
it's
songs, dude.
It's yeah, there's a I mean, and then now I mean, right now I'm doing like, I'm releasing a track every other week just because, but I think very
Because the
soon
internet
here, I
told
don't
us we had to.
pretty much. Well, that and like, I mean, I think it wasn't last year. Maybe no, it wasn't last year. It could have been the year prior. One of the years, not too long ago, I released a song every week for the whole year. And then I think I might just kind of go back to doing that starting very soon.
That's actually, I mean, that's sick though. I mean, kudos to you
Yeah,
for having that
because
workflow.
yeah, I might just go back to doing that. I don't know. It's one of those things. Yeah, no, so it's a ton of songs. So like when I tell people to, I'm so sorry about the dogs. The door
No,
was shut
never
and
apologize for that.
okay. Okay.
That's
Yeah,
what
cuz
what's puppers?
well, there's one right here and then another one right here. Say hi,
Hi,
Clover.
puppers. Hello. You said Clover?
Yeah, that's Clover. She's just a puppy. She's 5 months old. But
Oh,
yeah, there I don't know what happened. The door was shut, and then all of a sudden I heard the door open, and then I saw dogs come in. I was like, "All right, there's gonna be dogs now." Which is, I mean, yeah, they're very chill. They won't be doing anything anyway, so they'll just be laying down. But
dude, sometimes whenever our cats start acting up, my door to the studio will open and my wife, Cass, will walk in and be like, I'm donating this to you now, and just put the cat
yeah,
in the
here
door
you
and then close the door.
and here you go. Yeah, that
No,
I
she
I
literally
feel that
says
so
word for
much.
word, she goes, I'm donating this to you. This is yours now.
No, that's so great. I mean, it's I think it's awesome. Yeah, because like my cats too. They once I get on the computer, they just half the time they won't leave me alone for a while. They just have to sit in the lap, do something, climb up on my shoulder, and just lick my face until while I'm just trying to write a song, and I'm just sitting here. Or I love
You're just like
they
trying
sit
to get
there and roll.
around them. Like, yeah.
Yep,
Mine will
that's
headbutt
that's
me.
how.
My cat Sherlock will literally like headbutt me, like trying to get my attention. I'm like, yes, I understand you're here. Hello. Like, so I was gonna say, so you like, there's normally a part in the podcast where I've been asking mentors, is there any specific standout moment that you've had as a mentor? I know it's a little bit earlier on for you, but like anything that sticks out to you that was really cool with you and a student?
Um, I guess it wasn't the. I mean, nothing like too crazy, I guess, because it was more just a lot of things of it's like you show them something and then they're like, "Oh, I never thought about it that way," or blah blah blah. But I guess like one of the students I had before, I didn't even do very many lessons with him, but I just liked I liked the song. Well, not the one that we worked on, but a different one that he had that we ended up making a song, so that was a cool thing. And
Oh,
then
cool.
I mean there were
So
yeah,
in
so I mean there
collaborating
was
with a
like that.
student, that's always fun when it comes
Yeah.
together that way.
Right. No, that was one of those cool things to where like made a song with him and it turned out really cool because he's got a very unique style and sound design. So I definitely that's definitely something that I like. That I
I
was
think that
like,
would
yeah,
mesh well with you. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's what it was. It was like, yeah, it was. Excuse you. They were
It's
barking.
like I'm gonna chime in. I'm gonna chime in on it. See what he said.
No, but yeah, no, yeah, that was the one thing too. I saw, yeah, yeah, I don't really have anything too crazy, but that's because I haven't had that many students, so it's not,
Well, I'm
I'm still
excited
very
for the
new to
future with
this.
it. I mean, you've already gotten good reviews that I've found, about, myself and that's why I'm excited to have you on board, man. What's next for your Thread project, dude? Do you have any new releases coming out that you want to talk about? Any shows?
Okay, so I don't know if this comes out, but It's nothing crazy. It's just like a self release. I mean, I'm gonna have a ton of them, but my next one, it comes out this Friday, so it'll be yeah, I don't know when the podcast will come out, but it'll come out 11/14, so November 14th. And it's interesting because it's a song about a person who's shopping at a store, and then another person walks up to them, gets really close, and farts. And that's that's what the song's about. And it's about how she gets very upset that it happened. And I don't know, I thought it was hilarious, so I made it into a song. And then
That's a
yeah,
deep
so it was
story,
one
man.
of those. It's so deep. Yeah, I don't know why. It was one of those things that it was yeah, it was just a funny idea, and I liked the way it turned out, and I was like, you know what? And then just decided I'm gonna release it. So yeah, that's the next one that comes out. Besides that, I mean, I do have shows that my last show is in Minneapolis actually, next, so the 21st, November 21st, and that'll be my last show of the year. And after that, we were taking a huge break because we've had a ton of shows this year because my wife's pregnant and we're expecting our baby probably in December.
Oh,
So
that's close.
yeah,
That's like
very probably
soon.
next. Yeah, we're assuming he's not due till January, but all the signs and the doctors are even saying that he's probably going to come in December. So we were planning on that. So it's like once our boy's born, then we'll basically, like, there's just a huge break. So the only thing I'll be doing is like just releasing music. So I'll probably release. I'm assuming in December I plan on starting to just do one a week. So I'll release a ton of tracks, but I won't be going into any new cities until we probably won't start up. I probably won't start up again until March of 2026 because we
Well,
already do have shows
congratulations,
booked for
man.
2020. Thank you. I'm very excited. It'll be cool. We'll make a little industry plant potentially as long as he likes making music. I'll teach him, but
Have you already named him? Have you already figured out the name?
yep, it's his full name is Ellis River Johnson. So
That's so cool, actually. That's what I feel like that's
yeah,
a unique sounding. How'd you guys get the name?
it was so since like we with Eva's family, they like to it's like a tradition that they have to name a child after like a dead person, and then it's basically like after her grandma, like Eleanor, but we just make it Ellis, so it's for that. And then River, we it was just in our pool of yeah, River was in our pool of like songs that or names that we wanted to do if it was going to be a boy. And so we just threw that in as a middle name, and that, and it just flowed kind of well. And I was like, hey, that could even be like a stage name if you wanted, Ellis River or something. I don't know. It sounds like a
Why
country
does
singer, but you know,
it does sound like a country singer, but it
it
sounds like
just
a
sounds,
damn good country singer. That
yeah,
sounds like
good
someone
country
in
singer.
Nashville who's doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know, you said
Yeah,
industry plant. You didn't say what kind.
that's true. Actually, I mean, I don't really like country that much, but you know, that's like one
But
of the
like,
general.
watch,
Well,
that's one of those universal ironies would be if your kid did grow up to be a country kid.
right. I mean, there is country songs that I do like, but it's been a while since I've heard one. You know, all of them are probably made before 2000. So, you know, all the ones that I do like, at
Yeah,
least.
same. I'm kind of an old.
Yeah,
I actually had a country phase as a kid. I don't think anybody who knows me nowadays is ever
I
gonna
had no
believe
idea.
that. But I did have I had a country music phase, dude. Yeah, it's
That's pretty great.
tragic.
Yeah. I had no idea. I mean, because the thing, there's plenty of really good country. It's just the new stuff I'm just not a big fan of. I mean,
I
that's,
don't
you
like
know,
the crossover into the. Well, I knew digital production. No genre was going to remain untouched
right.
forever, and I think now it's starting to touch country in a way that is not really bouncing off of me well. I'm not really a fan of it.
No, I feel like, yeah, it's there's gonna be someone who finds a way to do it and do it well, and then you know what I mean. There's always that one. There's always an outlier. There's always someone who can figure it out. But as of now, I haven't heard anything that like I think is good. You know what I mean?
Somebody
When it
needs to
comes to
come
that.
and undo what Florida Georgia Line did to all of us.
Yeah, I mean, somebody. I don't know who.
Please.
Maybe you know. You can start trying it. You did like country before. You can go back and try and remix a country. No, you're just, dude, country tear out, just
Oh
crossover.
my.
You got it.
Wait,
You
no,
got it.
because Country
Country
Rhythm
tear
already
out.
happened. Country Rhythm
Right,
happened. That
but it's,
means
yeah,
it
country
could
tear
be
out's next.
Country Tear Out.
You could.
All right.
I mean,
If
there's
there's
a
any country artists that are watching this podcast that aren't deeply offended by my Florida Georgia line comment, please hit me up. Let's do some country tear out.
no, I mean, you could. I mean, the way that I would see it is that it's just so a way that I would see a crossover that works well. It's more of like it's just country vocals on top of EDM, and like that could work. But I
I
mean,
mean,
what
Avicii already
that's
did
what I was
that.
just gonna say. Yeah, but that's like that's the way that I see it working like well. But to try and like, I mean, you could still like throw in something like maybe a banjo. I don't know. It'd be
I
hard,
mean,
but
it could be doable. Dude,
yeah,
imagine taking a banjo, doing a spectral synth on it in Serum 2, and then like processing it to be like a crazy, like metallic bass.
you definitely could do so. It's one of my wife Eva. I mean, you know her, but for the podcast,
Yeah.
one of her cousin is in a band and he plays a banjo. And so I actually when I talked to him, I told him to I was like, send me clips of you playing the banjo. And then I wanted to try and like do something with it. And I have the clips, but I've yet to like sit down and open a project and like mess with it. So I mean that might be a thing, but I can't promise anything because I haven't actually tried. I have
Keep
the
me
samples.
posted.
Yeah, because that would be cool. That's one of those things is that because I told him like that because I actually kind of like the banjo. It just makes me smile and laugh. But so it would be one of those things to where I want to try it. I just haven't done it yet. But it'd be very
Do
interesting
it.
to see what I could. Yeah, I want to do
You
it. It
should.
might if I can make something cool. That'd be kind of weird. That'd be wild. That'd be one of those things. That'd be a
Watch,
that's a good reel.
yeah, I'll get you back the because one thing that's cool about Riverside.fm is, and no, they're not paying me to say this. Anyone watching, but I mean Riverside. If you're watching and you want to, you can.
You should.
Should.
Yeah.
But no, Riverside clips these things up, and actually each one of these podcast episodes, we're getting like 12 reels out of all of them, and we're getting like highlights and like short videos and hooks, and it's actually insane what this software does. So right now, like what we're recording it's recording locally and uploading to their server, and then I go in, make the edits based on what it suggests. And so I'll send you this, and just in case it happens, maybe you take
Just
a
in
snippet from
case.
this podcast and you're like, man, what if I did that? And then you like do a transition. Well, guys, guess what? I did that,
Oh,
so
I mean,
but
like, cause that's yeah. No, I should try it. Maybe this is my sign to do it, to finally
maybe.
go and do it. Yeah.
Well, so I'm starting to notice that on the episode flow section of this brief, it's like, I mentioned that it's approximately 60 minutes. I see that we're about 77 minutes in, and
Yep.
I don't mind this. But
No.
I do have one last thing I want to ask you about that's been really interesting across the episodes we've done already. And it's one where like, there's things that we've had to edit out already. We've already had to edit things out of this
Oh
next
no.
part. So twice. So I'm going to ask you this. Okay, wild times, craziest industry story that you're allowed to tell. Do you have anything that comes to mind right off the rip that is an unforgettable or hilarious experience from your time in the music industry?
I guess the first thing that pops to my mind, it's more of just like a bad show experience because we've all had them. We've all had ones to where you go and you have like you have like a bad festival or bad show. Mine was just a show. It was in Florida, and basically, like you get to the place, the venue that's not really supported for this kind of thing, obviously, but it was they didn't nobody like promoted it, nobody knew anything about it really, and also too they apparently the person who threw the show could have done it at TK Lounge, but they decided not to, even though TK Lounge it's very known
Would
for
have been
EDM, sells out
it's a
all the time.
great venue
Yeah,
for EDM.
would have been a
Yeah,
good
would have been a
exactly.
good
So
choice. Yeah.
they decided to do it somewhere else, even though they had that option. And we found that out afterwards. And we're like, why? We're like, whatever. And then to get there, and then apparently they they didn't actually have like any like they weren't supposed to necessarily be there because by the time we got halfway through the show, cops showed up, shut the whole thing down. I didn't even play a set. My buddy Colossal, who didn't also get to play.
Also
Well,
a
no,
mentor.
Yep, also a mentor. Yeah, he, I think he got, like, 2 songs in to his set, and then and then they came in and shut everything down. We're just like, "What the hell is happening?" So, I mean, like, that was one of those experiences that I mean, that was a crazy experience, definitely. I was very disappointed and very confused on how, like, all this happened, and then, yeah, it was, like, one of
When
those I'm like,
TK
"How did
Lounge was
he"
like right there.
Yeah, it was just yep. It was like it
What
wa
venue was
I
it,
don't
if
know.
you're allowed to say? Can you say?
I I actually don't remember.
Because I
It
remember
was
I
in
played at a
St.
venue.
Petersburg, though.
Oh, St.
So, it
Petersburg. See, okay.
yeah.
I played a show in Orlando one time that was at this venue that was I can't remember the name of it either, but it was not well attended, first of all. Second, um, this was also, like, thrown by a promoter who has access to a lot of other major venues. You might actually know this promoter. I'm not gonna name him, but,
That's
um
fair.
so the show, almost nobody attended. I'm still going hard because 'cause I'm trying to at least give a good performance for the, like, 5 people in the crowd, and
Yep.
but this was before I had stopped drinking, so I was like, "Well, this is a flop, and they're offering us all free drinks, so whatever."
Yep.
And I went so hard that somehow this was back in the black contact lenses days where I still wore the all black eye lenses,
Right.
and one of them pops out onto the stage, like, and I'm stepping on it, and, like, I realize it's on the bottom of my
Oh, no.
shoe, and it was
Oh,
a
no.
disaster, dude. But this was also in Florida. This is not
No,
St.
it's
Petersburg, this was in Orlando, so it's like
yeah, but, I mean, it's still yeah, that was just crazy. Yeah, because besides that, I haven't had anything, like, too crazy happen to me, aside from, like it's always been, like, weird things. Ooh,
well, that's good at least.
ooh.
Dude, I feel like some of the stories that have already been shared on this podcast have been wild. I actually, so this will be up by the time this podcast goes up, but there is a section of Donnie Baker's episode on the podcast where he talks about stealing not one, but two boats to go from Catalina Island to LA because a
No way.
musician that he was with wanted to go see his girlfriend and because he like missed him and they were both like super hammered and
My god.
so they stole two boats and that's not even I'm trying to debate on whether or not that episode or that part of the episode was as crazy as him talking about winding up in Canadian jail.
Yeah,
He
that's
said that
I'm not
Canadian jail is actually pretty fun apparently.
like, it's not bad.
It's
That's crazy.
yeah, so it's I never know what I'm gonna get with these. Yeah, but at least it's like I guess in this case it's awful when a show gets shut down and when the police come down and like shut it down, but
Yeah.
it's like also pretty like you guys were all safe and like
Yeah,
everything's
there was nothing
cool. Like
yeah, everything was fine. It was just one of those where, like, how? I was like, how does that happen? I don't know. How do you not, like I don't know. It was a very weird thing, but, I guess people make mistakes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
It's alright.
go with DK Lounge next time.
Yeah, well, that's what I was like, "Why didn't you do that?" Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things to where it's like, "Alright, well, we just, not gonna do a show with them again." So, that's one of those
Fair
it's like
enough.
it was a lesson learned for sure.
Cool, man. Well, hey, thank you so much for being on this podcast with me. It's been a pleasure. And anybody watching this, if you want to learn that weird sound design, if you're into EDM production, you need help with that kind of thing, go to Ascendry.app, contact Josh Johnson, Thred. He's got the free discovery call option available. It's a giant red banner that says free consult. And that means that he will talk to you for free and talk to you about what exactly it is you're looking to do that we can get to know sort of what the plan of action is. And yeah, I don't think there's any other websites right now. I've done my homework. There's not really that many websites right now that are offering where you guys are actually offering your time up like that initially for free for that. So it's
Yeah.
huge, dude.
No, it's perfect. I actually really like the discovery call too because it's one of those it definitely puts, that whole thing I was saying earlier about, you don't wanna have a lesson with somebody and then they don't get their money's worth because then when people have I've actually already had a discovery call where I've told the person specifically not to do one, like, because, just because, like, I feel like his money would be more well spent, with like a different person basically because of what he was asking specifically. Because it was like, I even told him like I can 100% help you with this, but I know there'd be someone else that could do like this better. It was more because he wanted to learn DJing and I could totally do it, but not. I was like, don't get somebody and do it over the internet. You know what I mean? Like you want to do something in
Yeah,
person.
it's really
That was
difficult.
more. That's
It's
what it was. I was like, I could teach you, man, but I'm telling you, it'd be a lot better to find something in person because his DJing that's different. But I was like, but
yeah.
he said he's like, hey, when he starts producing, he wants to come back and do lessons. I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah, I was like DJing. I'm like, you should. So that was like that's a perfect example of like you don't want to pay and then somebody can't actually help you that well. So
And
that's
I
why I love
guarantee
the
you he's gonna
government route.
remember that transparency. He's gonna remember that.
Yeah.
The fact that you weren't just like, "Yeah, dude, whatever, like, swipe your card, bro. Let's get it,"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like everyone
like,
else on the
yeah.
internet. So it's like, yeah, I mean, and I can relate on a very, very deep level with what you're saying as far as teaching somebody how to DJ over the internet goes. For Recording Connection Audio Institute, I wrote their live DJ program for them, and the problem was they didn't have mentors in person for the live DJ program when they were open because
Yeah.
of the fact that all the mentors they would go for are too busy traveling.
Yep.
So, sort of a natural Achilles heel. So I wound up being like, I think the main teacher that taught this program for the school, and I had to figure out a very specific way of teaching. And I got it dialed in because, we had gotten it to where like the student received the DJ controller and through screen share, direct audio, da 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 da, I could actually deliver the program well. But I do
Right.
still think it could have been a better experience in person for that. Like
Y
we could teach somebody how to make sounds and produce them and arrange them and mix them and master them and whatever over the internet, screen share back and forth, probably no issue. But when it comes to a physical, like a tactile, hands-on thing, like it's
Yep,
very different.
exactly.
So
That's I was like, well, yeah, that's why I was like, "Ah, no, man." Like, I told him that I would, but I did tell him, I'm like, "If you really want, I will teach you, but just I would suggest going somewhere else." But yeah, because that's the thing is I don't wanna take someone's money if it's not gonna be, like, worth their time. If I'm not gonna give them, you know, if anything more than what they paid for, that's what I wanna do. I want them to be it's just like even just any show that I do. It's like, you come to a show, I want it to be way better than you expected. It's just any of that. It's all the same thing. I just I wanna over deliver to anyone I possibly can. At least
yeah,
try my best to.
respect, man, respect. Well, all right. Well, that's about our time. I am so thankful that you came on this podcast and that you are and frankly all of the mentors. I'm really glad you guys are taking a chance on this. But I'm really thankful for anybody who's viewing these episodes early. It's very, very early. We're all still figuring out what we're doing. But all I know is it's going pretty well so far. So if you're liking what you're seeing so far, gently caress the subscribe button. Consider mildly touching the like button and maybe underhand tossing this video to some friends of yours who might think this is interesting too.
Mhm.
This is the first time I've done that. It's probably the last time I'm going to end the podcast on that type of.
Hey,
But anyways, it was kind of corny. But you know what? Everybody's like, smash the button. It's like, what if we gently caress the subscribe button?
I like it.
What if?
Just blow on
Yeah.
it.
Just blow on it. All right. All right. And on that note,